Hi, this is Iman Agay, the founder and organizer of Vancouver Business Network and the president of Success Road Enterprises. Today I'm sitting with Bob Burnham, the #1 Amazon best-selling author of 101 Reasons of Why You Should Write Your Own Book at Experts Cafe. So Bob, why should we write our own book?
Well, of course, you're going to have to read the book to find out all 101 reasons, but actually, in the book, there's 107 reasons, because when myself, my co-author, put the book together, we came up with over 250 good reasons why you should write a book. And we thought, well, 250 is probably a little bit too many for the book. You'll be reading nothing but reasons. So we thought, well, we'll narrow it down to 101. And, of course, that sounds a little bit better as a title, 101 Reasons Why You Must Write a Book. But, the funny part was we could only narrow it down to 107. And I'm actually doing a revision right now, and it's still growing. So, in the next revision, there might be 110, because that's all we can really narrow it down to. So, yeah, glad to be here today, Evan. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any reason why we shouldn't write our own book?
Any reason why we shouldn't write our own book?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Evan, I've never actually found a reason why we shouldn't write our own book. 80% of the population in North America want to write a book, and the fact of the matter is, less than 1 in about 10,000 ever actually do get even started writing a book. But that's a shame, because the difference it can make in your life and possibly your business can absolutely be miraculous. But at this point, I've never actually found a reason why anybody shouldn't write a book, because there's so many people to help you write that book. There's so many different technologies to get that book out, and there's so many different advantages to having a book. So that's one thing I can say is I've never found a reason why you shouldn't write a book.
Great. So can you tell us some of the reasons that why we should write a book?
Absolutely. I'll give you 4 that are sort of at the top of my list. And the one that I talk about in my workshops a lot is the #1 reason is probably it is the quickest way to get expert status, credibility, and celebrity, and develop trust with your customers. And of course, you can't buy trust, as you know, Evan. But the neat thing about when you write a book, people trust you. And of course, you have to protect that. You have to make sure you're serving your customers and your readers to the highest standards, but it is the absolute quickest way to develop expert status, credibility, celebrity, and trust. So that's #1. A second reason why I think a lot of people should write books, and I always get people out to my workshops, clients I've had or students I've had in the past that have written a book, and I get them to speak at my workshops about the success they've had with their book. And I've had a girl out now a couple of times to my workshop to speak to my crowd. And she always talks about the fact what she has used her book for is to get high-profile, high-paying jobs. And as a matter of fact, she's done this now about 3 times. She's a Russian gal, really nice gal. But the last job she got, or maybe it was 2 jobs, I can't remember. But anyhow, she's talking to my workshop attendees about the job that she got high up in marketing, a high-profile job in marketing for the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics. And of course, when the interviewer asked, why should I hire you? She said, well, because I wrote the book on marketing. And of course, that was the book she had written, was a book on marketing. So, there's a great way to get hired. So she's done that a few times. And I've actually had a few authors that have done that, a number of times that have gotten really high-profile jobs and really good jobs. Now, another thing that, reason you must write a book right now is there really has never been a better time in history for us to write a book, because now we can get a worldwide reach through the internet that we couldn't even get that long ago. But now you can get a worldwide reach and get a worldwide audience of customers through your book easily through that technology, which of course is the internet. And the last one I'm going to talk about, #4 today anyway, I talk about a model with your book, and it's a model where you want your customers to pursue you through your book, possibly your speaking. But if you're a business person, you know that a lot of the times, some people talk about this, free estimate. Well, there is really no such thing as a free estimate. If you've done 4 estimates, somebody's going to pay for that estimate, and it's going to be the 5th customer. But when you've got a model set up with your book where your customers are pursuing you. You save all that time of, giving proposals and the back and forth and, possibly chasing customers down, because with your book, it is a really good, almost like a first date or a business card where people can start pursuing you. And once they start pursuing you, of course, you have a customer that wants to work with you. They're going to be a customer that take action. They're going to be customers that are easier to work with, and they're going to be, let's face it, a higher paying customer. So that's the four main reasons, I'm going to talk about today, about why you should write a book. And of course, to get the other 103, you're gonna have to buy the book. But yeah, there's a lot of great reasons to write a book. Yeah.
Okay, Bob, I know that technology has probably made some effects on the book writing and publishing industry. So, what was the effect of technology in the past 20 years?
Well, it's really been phenomenal for authors like us and business people like us. To write a book it's the best time in history. It's almost like, the universe has converged to help business people like ourselves and new authors like ourselves to really help us to propel our businesses. And one of the really great things, of course, is, like I said, writing a book, people will pursue you. That's good if you're in business and you've written a book, you want people to pursue you because you get better customers. But the neat thing about it is before, not that long ago, if you wrote a book and your book didn't sell enough copies to pay for its shelf space, you went out of print. And of course you go out of print, your book's not working for you, zip, it's over. But the neat thing now is your book can literally be in the file on almost every bookstore in North America, the UK, and around the world. So, you can go into a bookstore, let's say Chapters or Amazon or Barnes & Noble, you can find out maybe my book's not in stock, but you can type into the computer and find out that sure enough it's available for order, and boom, hit that little order button and they'll print that book on demand. So, before we went out of print, we weren't available, but now with print on demand, we're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We never go out of print. And as a matter of fact, there's a pilot project in the States now. 17 stores are doing this. I'm not exactly sure which stores, but you can actually go in to these particular stores that are doing this pilot project. And what you can do is, let's say you're looking for my book, you want to order my book, you go into the store, you pound in the name into the computer, you find out it's not in stock. So, but what you can do is still hit the order button, and then of course, in the big box retailers, you can go and have a Starbucks coffee because they're in most of the big box bookstores now. So go have a coffee for about 15 minutes, and within 15 minutes, you can go up to the cashier, and that book will be printed on location at that bookstore, ready for you to go, and you cannot tell the difference in quality between the one that's going to be printed at the factory or the one that's printed at the bookstore. And I mean, this has made a phenomenal difference to authors like us. We're always available. Your book's always working for you. The power behind that is absolutely phenomenal. So it's just a great boom for authors like us, yeah.
Well, that's great. I think, it is the best time to write your own book now, yeah?
Yeah.
So, Bob, I usually ask a weird question from all our speakers.
Yeah.
And as speakers, coaches, consultants, we are always in different organizations, seminars, we are teaching in workshops, and people are looking at us all the time. We are at the spotlight. And it so happens that once in a while, something funny happens to us. What was the funniest thing that has happened to you in one of your workshops or seminars?
Well, Eamon, I think about when I first, put my book together and I started teaching people on how to, write, publish, and sort of position themselves as experts with a book. And I think it was the very first class I taught my processes too. But anyhow, there was a fellow sitting in the audience, and I always talk about mindset because mindset's so important, because I can show you the A to Z, exactly how to write the book, the complete blueprint, but if you don't have the mindset, it's still not going to work for you because you're going to trip yourself up. So to me, a big component of what I teach is mindset. So I always talk about mindset whenever I speak. Whenever I teach in my workshops, I talk about mindset. So anyhow, this is one of the first classes I'm teaching. I'm talking about mindset. And all of a sudden, I'm about 5 or 10 minutes into this mindset talk of how important it is. And one of the students sort of turns around to the rest of the people in this class and said, does anybody else want to listen to this mindset stuff? Can't he just get to the meat and potatoes of this? Can't he just talk about how to write and publish the book? And I mean, I'm like a deer in the headlights. I'm just like, what should I do? But, I kept my composure. And actually, the rest of the class was a little bit turned off by this guy, but that was fine. I just kept on, keeping on.
Okay.
But the funny thing is about this story is, this fellow, within a year, and I've had this happen a couple of times, but this fellow within a year, he actually has bought all of my information products, has come into a lot of my workshops, refers me all the time. So once he sort of settled down and really listened to what I had to say, he saw the value in it. But I'll tell you, at the time it happened, I was a deer in the headlights, and I'm sure you could have got a picture of me. It would have been the funniest picture you could have possibly gotten. But that's probably the funniest time, yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, Bob, for sharing that. By December 3rd and December 4th of 2011, this year, we are going to have a seminar called Marketing Mastery Summit. And in Marketing Mastery Summit, professionals learn how to position themselves as the go-to expert and attract higher paying customers and be the go-to solution person for their potential clients. And we are going to have Bob as one of our speakers speaking about book writing. So Bob, what will be the takeaway or the gift that people will receive from you in Marketing Mastery Summit?
Well, one of the things I always like to do when I give a talk is I always like to give information that people can take away and use right away when they get home. And I think that's really important. I always talk about at least 3 or 4 things that they can use, take out of the box and use right away. So I'm going to give you one today. And that, first of all, the whole idea of writing a book and positioning yourself, there's no better way to start attracting customers. But I want to give you one principle when you're putting this book together. And this principle or point or way of looking at it, it's really important when you write your book and you put your book together, is always focus on what is the transformation, okay, or the results that your reader or your client is going to get from reading your book or using your information. And you're going to find that a miracle starts to happen for you when you start looking at it that way. Because what you get a lot of the times with a lot of authors is they start talking about the CD set they might have to sell or the workshop they have to sell or whatever, and that's all fine. But that's a service delivery. If you're buying a set of CDs, that's just a way of us delivering the information. I want you guys to focus with your books on what is the transformation that you give your customers with your information in your book. And of course, my transformation is I teach people how to have customers pursue them so that they don't have to spend so much time on chasing customers and marketing, and they make more money. So I really want you to really sort of focus on what's the transformation or the results that you're going to give with your information in your book. And once you do that, you're going to find that your whole business really turns around. When I started talking about transformation in my talks, I literally doubled my sales from one night to the next, started talking about transformation. So that's the takeaway I want to tell you about today. But I'm probably going to talk about three more important principles at the Marketing Mastery that you can take away and start using right away after the event. So I'm looking forward to it. And really,
thank you, Bob. We are so looking forward to have you there in December, on December 3rd and December 4th in Marketing Mastery Summit. And thanks for joining us today at Experts Cafe and doing this interview.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it, Eamon.